dumb, it doesn't make sense, it's dangerous, why would you, I mean, just the whole thing. I mean, in the United States, I was presenting these things for 2 or 3 years, and, you know, I was just, you know, taking a lot of shit for it, basically, from everyone, from all angles.
I realized nose change a lot after healing. So the subpalatal deformity settling on the bony area, and I said, what's happening? So nose is changing a lot, and I can't see what I see in the surgery is totally different.
The power of straightening deviations of the nose using dorsal preservation techniques, in my opinion, is remarkable.
I wanted to make the world safe for academic facial plastic surgery.
So I would take a normal breath in through my nose and out through my nose and hold my nose, and then I would hold my breath and nod my head up and down. And I know it sounds so bizarre, but it actually worked.
And I talked to my plastic surgery advisor from medical school, and he's like, oh, just do ENT, it's just like plastics of the head and neck. Which, if you're a plastic surgeon, is probably true, but if you're not a plastic surgeon, it's actually not true at all.
And women overwhelmingly said that they were discouraged by their family, by their friends, by faculty members. So not only we are not encouraged, but we are also discouraged.
Now I'm pushing with a new variation, and it's the first time I'm talking about that. That is the Sparrow Technique B, or what we call the Ferreira-Ishida technique.
It was difficult attending meetings and realizing there were so few women on the platform. And I thought, right, well, I'm going to write to them and say, I want to give a lecture.
Sometimes walking this bony pyramid looks like catching crayfish by the hand.
Prior to using Sebastian Hawk's method of super tip stitch, I had patients taping a lot. But since using that technique, I can honestly say that I haven't had to ask patients to tape.
He started doing rhinoplasty using the same techniques that he learned back in the South, and they worked in some of the cases, but most of the cases they did not work.
The guy that think, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm a professor of that university, so the patient will arrive at me because I'm a manager of the university. No, unfortunately no. Now we need to change our Instagram, our social medias.
But it's a very useful tool to reshape the nose. You can take big or small humps where you can do some resection and block resection. We can use that as a reconstructive graft.
And I had trained in the endonasal approach, and I came back home and I started doing open. And nobody was doing open in Cali. I mean, people thought I was crazy.
My trick is I just say, what do you call it when you put meat onto a grill and cook it together? And if they answer braai, I know where they're from.
And we were doing osteotomies, and everything just, I tapped, a couple times, and it just shattered.
After the surgeon said that the patient was happy, Enrico said the patient was happy because they didn't know they could be happier.
They are better, the nose is straighter, they can breathe better, but it's never perfect. I've done 7,000 rhinoplasties, I've never done a perfect one.
In Turkey, we have cricket noses, big noses, humpy noses, droopy tips. Wow, a new market emerged all of a sudden, and all my friends started operating, and we evolved together throughout these years.
I give a lecture. It's called Tips About How to Become a Rhinoplasty Surgeon. And I say, become obsessive first. Yeah. Keep reading, keep looking at your results again and again and again. Keep thinking about it. And you just have to love it passionately.
If you are doing truly 10% revision, I think it means that you are a good surgeon. If you are doing 20% revision, I think it's a little bit too much. If you are doing 2% revision, it means that you have a big problem in your evaluation.
I met Lauren in 2010, so that was early on, as my second year into Dryfund, and she literally said to me, I'll give you 2 more years. If you don't get a sponsor, I'm out of here.
everybody had their own prototype. In fact, in Cleveland, there were 3 plastic surgeons, but just looking at the patient, I could tell who did the rhinoplasty.
I have to deal with a lot of, silly stereotypes that the women can do this kind of work.
The question really becomes, and the crux of the controversial issue is whether or not a course of post-operative antibiotics is necessary.
One of the other things that I think is a big mistake in contemporary rhinoplasty, and it's partly been forced upon us because of COVID, is to try to diagnose a nose from a Zoom interview or from photographs.
I visited 42 countries for lecturing and 25 countries for operating.
The main challenge in rhinoplasty is undoubtedly the patient, and it will be until the end.
So your reputation is measured by your performance. Number one, your performance. So if we're talking about a surgeon, it's the results that you achieve. And that means if you want a good reputation, you have to be constantly thinking of Kaizen, the Japanese term for constant improvement.
Why should I really change this? It's not that bad. And structural rhinoplasty was very precise for me, and it was giving me good results.
And that brings us to the end of 6 months of the Rhinoplasty podcast. I've got 3 thank yous. The first thank you, I want to give a shout out to the listeners around the world. Thank you, people, for tolerating all these mistakes and questions and all sorts of things. But it's been absolutely great to get the comments and the feedback. I've loved it. I've really enjoyed 6 months of learning from the world's best. The second shout out is to all our sponsors. So every single month had a different sponsor. I'm just going to read through those guys from MedHold, Carl Storz, Pentax Loops, Vectra, Suta, Allergan, and Piezo. Guys, thank you so much. And then I actually just need to read out the names of that's my last thank you, is the people who took time off to teach. Guys, I so appreciate it. From Miguel, Sam, and Travis in February, Jeff, Roxana, Vitaly, and Barman in March, Robin, Filio, Gillian, and Mariana in April, Paul, Lucas, Lessandro, Andy, and Dave in May, Profs Dean, Roderick, and Peter in June, Fazel, Wolfgang, Hesham, and Enrico in July, and now in August to Yves and Barish and Olivia and Aaron. Guys, thank you very much. It's you guys are inspiring people, and thank you for your time. And we look forward to a season 2 when I've had a break. It's been taking its toll on my life and my practice as well, but I've enjoyed it very much. So we will be seeing you guys again sometime. Thank you for all the listeners around the world, and come back for season 2 in a few months' time.